Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody doing tonight? So it's been a little bit of a slow week for Mandelas. Hey, I see my hair is kind of crazy too. What do you know? I can see myself on there. So you know what? If you guys have any, chime in. I have a few, but they're not like some of them. I think I've covered them a little bit before, and except for one. And I see that Shari has something weird going on in Turkey, so I'm gonna definitely click on that. So what is it? Eclipse, full moon eclipse. Of course, those two are together. Mercury retrograde, Holmes. All right, let's check it out. Now, I haven't had any major retrograde like problems yet, so fingers crossed. Maybe I'll dodge this one. Let's see. Twitter. Okay, I lied. I just remembered one I've been having. I cannot get into my Twitter account on this platform, and then my other browser, I cannot get into my YouTube. I don't know what it is, so I keep having this. So I could, you know what? I could try going on. I swear, I'm like I see there. I was trying. I could not. I'm sure I typed the right one in, so I don't know what's going on, but I tried all the others and it's no. So, okay, I'm going to look on Twitter over here because this is the one that I can log in on. I can log in on the one at work. This is not a new problem though. I just worked on it harder today and still couldn't crack it. And like, cause I use that, what do you call it? Gosh, I'm kind of a scatterbrain today. But I use that same browser at work and it works on Twitter, but at home it won't work on Twitter. Let's see. Istanbul was covered by a huge black cloud that covered the sun. Okay, well that's creepy. Wow. Is there any sound on this? Is it like somebody freaking out? I'm gonna just check it. Oh, it's just music. Okay, so that doesn't tell me much. Don't want to play too many chords of that. Get a copyright strike. Hopefully not. What's the official narrative? A thunderstorm after sunset with a bad webcam. Says somebody. Istanbul is important in the end times. See this Islamic hadiths about end times. Huh. We're having an eclipse of the sun tomorrow. Where is the eclipse even going to be at? Okay, so we're having an eclipse of the sun. I was thinking it was an eclipse of the moon. I think the sun ones are always during full moon times now, though. That's the latest way the reality set up with eclipse of sun. All right, now this browser that I don't usually use defaults to Bing, which is not my. Moon blocks the sun in a rare hybrid solar. What's a hybrid solar eclipse? A hybrid solar eclipse. I've never even heard of that. You cannot keep up with this crap. Okay, the moon will pass in front of the sun. Isn't that a normal solar eclipse? But this eclipse will be a much rarer celestial event than most, as it will be a hybrid eclipse that appears different from different locations across the globe, taking the form of an annular eclipse, a total eclipse, or a partial eclipse. Okay, so a total eclipse or a partial eclipse depending on where you are, that's like normal. So I guess now the storyline is they've added annular eclipse. Now I believe, if I recall correctly, that annular eclipse is when the moon is like smaller than the sun, and so you see that like ring thing, which really has only been around a couple years, maybe like 4 years for me. Western Australia, East Timor, and Indonesia at 9:36, April 9. I'm hoping that's like this year, right? April 19th. That's like, did it already pass? EDT. I don't even know what time it is. Okay. Many hybrid. I didn't even hear about this freaking thing. All right. French Southern Territories, Marshall Islands. We'll see a lot. Nothing from the USA. Still, you know, there used to be a time when the eclipses were big, solar eclipses were a big, fat, hairy deal, and people from all over the world would rush over there, and now we have them like once a year or more. This is the first one this year, but didn't we have like 2 of them last year? Okay, so this is the first hybrid thing I've ever heard of in my life. Okay, so Australia gets it. I don't know what the GMT is right now, so maybe this is already gone. All right, hybrid eclipses occur as a result of 2 factors: the curvature of the Earth and the fact that the moon's shadow is made up of 2 parts. Oh my gosh. The shallower and the lighter out. Oh, this penumbra thing. Okay, when did that show up? Like a year or 2 ago? The penumbra and the inner darker shadow known as the umbra. Reality just gets more complicated every year. I mean, just like a simple thing, and you got to get you have to do like a PhD thesis on this stuff just to even get grips on some of it. 2-part shadow. During a hybrid eclipse, the moon shadow falls on the Earth. The planet is only in the penumbra, and an annular eclipse is seen. The umbra is over the surface of the Earth. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm getting too lazy to try to figure out the latest technical difficulties. The moon is just at the right distance from the Earth for the apex of its cone-shaped shadow to be slightly above the Earth's surface at the beginning and end of the eclipse's path, causing the moon's antumbral shadow to move across Earth, causing an annular solar eclipse. I feel like I just want to say, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah. However, in the middle of the eclipse path, the apex of the moon's umbral shadow strikes Earth's surface because that part of the planet is slightly closer to the moon. Wait a minute. I thought the moon is like equidistant. I guess maybe it's not equidistant all the time from the Earth anymore. The apex of the moon's umbral shadow strikes Earth's surface because that part of the planet is slightly closer to the moon. Okay. Okay, because it's like a round thing. Okay. So, yes. All right. So, as it first moves, you're just getting the edge of the moon, which is a little further away than the center of the ball. Okay. Got it. I assume that's what they're saying. What is this word up here? Antumbral shadow. I don't think I've ever seen antumbral before. These hybrid eclipses often have a second turning point where the total eclipse reverts back to an annular eclipse. This is caused by the surface of the Earth once again falling away from the dark umbra to the penumbra as the planet continues to curve. In the case of the April 2023 hybrid eclipse, Carter pointed out that there will be 2 points on Earth where the eclipse morphs from an annular eclipse to a total eclipse and back again. 2 points? All right, I'm a little confused. I can see the first, okay, it will be a annular, and then it should become a full, and then it goes back to an annular. But I don't see how that happens twice in a row. See, I need to take out a PhD thesis to understand this. It's very important. Remember to never look at the sun. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cue the advertising. Okay. So it's a hybrid eclipse. I call Mandela because what the hell? Hybrid eclipse. I don't know if you guys come from a timeline when solar eclipses were rare. There was no such thing as an annular eclipse. So if anybody doesn't remember what an annular eclipse is, I know I had it on here some time ago, but you know, people don't see every episode. So now that the moon has like this supermoon's business, so sometimes it's further away and sometimes it's closer. That didn't used to be the case for me. So we didn't used to have annular eclipses, but basically if the moon is further away, which makes it like smaller looking to us, then it doesn't block as much of the sun, and then you get this like ring thing where you can see some of the sun around the edges. So when this first showed up, they called it an annular, and it would just be that it would totally block the sun, but you could see a little bit of like the flares around the edges of the sun, which still seems kind of goofy. But now it's getting so you can see more of the actual sun itself. And frankly, the last time I looked at that, they didn't have one like this. I mean, like, look, you can see a lot of the sun in this one, a lot more than last time I looked this up. So this phenomena is definitely growing as far as how much of the sun can be visible. Okay, that's a different photo than that one. Yep. Anyway, so that's an annular eclipse, when you can see a bunch of the sun around the edges, is assuming I have that correct. It's kind of hard to keep up with all this business. Okay, so maybe you guys can tell me if I've missed it. All right, so yeah, strange clouds in Turkey. I guess they're just calling it a storm. Storm clouds. I have plenty of time today because I only have a few, so. Very peculiar kinds of clouds. Gone in 5 minutes. Okay. Well, for me, I don't know if pollution still acts the same, but generally pollution would, I lived in LA for quite a number of years during the high pollution times, and it would just be kind of a reddish tinge and like hazy, and it definitely wouldn't just blow through. It would just hang and hang, and then if a storm came, then it would just kind of disappear slowly, and then once the storm left, the pollution would be gone, and the pollution would just sort of, you wouldn't see it blow in. It would just very gradually get more and more hazy and kind of reddish, and that was the pollution. In fact, you didn't notice it as much from the ground, but one time I went up into the mountains, and then you could look down and see that red stinky pollution down there. It was like hazy clouds, except for it was a lot of pollution. And I'm actually not sure how much was clouds and how much was actual, like, pollution itself. But that's how it used to be. I mean, as far as I know, it's still like that. And I'm looking off to the side because my screen's acting all crazy. The computer's been all weird today. Seems to be operating now, but I, like, rebooted it 3 times today. I'm hoping that will get me through the day. I think, oh, Shari, we're going to miss you. All right, I'm going to put it back to, well, let me just get through this list of chit chats and then I'll put it on live chat. My generation is those born from 64 to 68. So you are, and that make you boomers? Preliminal. The moon is very shifty. Yeah, it is. So let's see now. The moon's orbit. I'm pretty sure I had a graphic on long ago about the moon's orbit, and it was like, it was all cray cray. Let's see. The moons. It wasn't just elliptical. But what I mean is, like, I don't remember it changing that much and then changing back. That's why I was confused. So the elliptical orbit could not explain it suddenly becoming annular, then not annular, then annular again. All right, let me see if I can find that cray cray image. Okay, so see, these are simplified versions, but then, there, this is it. This is it. Which never, I don't think it was like that before, but supposedly this is the real orbit of the moons. I'm like, okay. If you say so, I guess. Now, I mean, the other thing confusing about this is, like, I don't think that that's to scale, so how much change, you know, I mean, like, why even draw that if it's not to scale? Isn't it just more confusing? I don't know. I can't figure this stuff out anymore. Maybe I'm one of those days where I'm like, screw it. A big pizza pie. That's a meteor. It's not a more. A meteore from that song. Google Makhunik village of Iran. Okay, let's. Shari's got all the good Mandelas. Well, not all of them, but you have a lot of good Mandelas. I don't know if we can forgive you, Shari, for not being here for 2 weeks, but we'll try. Village of little people. I think I may have seen this. All right, let me just look at it again. Okay, I think I have seen this. While Swift's Lilliput is a mere fantasy. Stop. Maybe later. The computer has definitely been slow. I'm going to close this Twitter. That might help. Come on, you could do it. A comparable village exists in the eastern extremities of Iran. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is the one I saw quite a number of years ago. Up until around a century ago, some of the residents, Makhunik, a 1,500-year-old village roughly, west of Afghan border, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is interesting because I do remember seeing the village, and it was just abandoned, an abandoned village. Okay, there was nothing about the people, so the question was, why were the buildings short? So it looks to me like we've got more info now because they've added some human history to it. There was no human history last time I heard. And I do remember it because they were calling it like the Lilliputian village, and it was near Iran. That is, so I'm pretty sure this is the same one. And I remember thinking, because there was a lot more in the news about Iran back then, even, and I was thinking it's just really interesting. It's near Iran. It's not quite in Iran. It would be even more interesting if it was in Iran for some reason. That's what I was thinking. But okay, okay. So now they're saying the residents measured a mere meter in height, average. A meter, that's like 3 feet. So that is really short. Okay, so this is interesting. I'm going to put this one in now. So again, you can see how these Mandela, these new things like grow like from a seed. First, there's just some old buildings that are short, and it's kind of a mystery. Ooh, you know, it looks like there's a lot more of them than I remember too. And some of these are more modern. Before it was just these hut things. Looks like it might be still, there was no modern buildings last I looked. Up until 100 years ago, so they now know why they're all short buildings. A mummified body measuring 25 centimeters in height. In length was 25 centimeters. Which consisted of 13 villages. Now, there was just one before. All right, so 25 centimeters. Is that in like an adult or a child? All right, so 25. No. Okay, I was thinking that's pretty short. 25 centimeters. My head isn't even that long. They didn't say if it's a child. Still, that's... I mean, come on. That really is like Tom Thumb. 25 centimeters? And 13 villages now. City of dwarfs. Dwarfs aren't even that short. Okay, was actually a premature baby who died. All right. But couldn't you tell? Baby morphology is quite different than adult morphology. Malnutrition contributed to Makhunik residents' height deficiency. It was difficult to raise animals. They wouldn't drink tea. That's interesting. In the mid-20th century, the construction of roads and the proliferation of vehicles allowed Makhunik residents access to ingredients found in other parts of Iran, such as rice and chicken. Well, rice is not going to help you grow any taller. When vehicles came, people could bring food from nearby towns, so there was more to eat than just kashk, bene, and bread. Though most of the Makhunik 700 residents are now of average height, reminders of their ancestors' short stature still exist. Of roughly 200 stone and clay houses that make up the village, 70 or 80 are exceptionally low, ranging from 1.5 to 2 meters, with the ceilings as low as 1.4 meters. Okay. So, like 4 and a bit feet. Okay. It'd be pretty weird to have a house that was like below my head. The top of the house would be below my head. The residence wasn't the only reason to build smaller homes. Domestic animals large enough to pull wagons were scarce. Locals had to carry building supplies by hand. Smaller homes required fewer materials and less effort. Smaller houses were easier to heat and cool than larger ones and blended more easily with the landscape. Interesting. So I remember this village as being like abandoned and sort of just like nobody really knew why they were so short, and there was kind of a folklore about it. But now we've got mummified remains, and it's still inhabited. So this is a really quite different story than when I first saw it. But I don't remember it having a name at that time. I think it was just a village, and they called it the Lilliputian village because they didn't have any other word for it. So definitely has upgraded. Shari's shocked up with weird stuff. If you're not going to be here for 2 weeks, you better cough them all up. Hey, did somebody do a 19.99 super chat? Because I do appreciate it. When I scroll down far enough, I should find it. All week I kept mixing the days up. Tuesday was Wednesday. Yum, yum, yum. You know, it just seems like maybe about 2 weeks ago, 1 or 2 weeks ago, at least this week, for sure this week, I swear time has gotten faster again. It is just insane. Like I think I've kind of adapted to the faster time, but this week it's just like, first of all, I feel pretty good. I've kind of dialed in my supplements. I'm doing everything diligently every day. I feel a lot more alert, and I've been going out and, doing yard work every morning and out in the sun, all that good stuff. But yet, it just seems like I can't get any work done because the time just flies, So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to finish this little bit of work in an hour, and then it'll be like 3 hours later, 4 hours later. Like, it's just crazy. And I mean, it wasn't hard work, and I'm like, I don't know, but it's just been crazy. Cray. Especially like in the middle of the night. I feel like somebody stole hours from me, like late at night. Does retrograde mean everyone goes into behaviorist thought control mentality? Well, I'm not an expert at retrograde, but it usually kind of means like you're just going to have a lot of crap is going to go wrong. Like stuff tends to be less smooth. You try to do something and you just run into all these obstacles, and it's just like kind of like pushing a rock uphill or something. I mean, I'm sure there's a more technical explanation, but that's how I've always heard it, kind of. Like if something went wrong and, oh crap, such and such broke, or, the tree fell over, or I tried to do this, but then that happened. Mercury retrograde. That's why I'm saying, like, knock on wood, so far no major problems, please. Video of the village. Click. All right, we'll close you. So the computer, knock on wood, has being pretty good right now, but I'm going to definitely try to coddle it a little bit. This interesting. I thought that this little Lilliputian village had more like stonework is what I thought it was when I saw it. I won't swear to that one, but it does look a little different than I remember it. Of course, stonework would make more sense as having survived if nobody was maintaining it, because I think this looks like it's kind of Adobe style where they use like the clay mud combo and slap it on there, and you got to kind of maintain this a little bit. I mean, maybe they said this really low rain here, but you do have to go and make more of the mud and slap it on to the crumbly parts occasionally to maintain this business. That's why you don't see a lot of adobe in like the rainforest, because it'll just get washed away really fast. All right, so I don't think I got the video. Here we go. All right. Stop. We can't play too much of it because then we'll get a copyright, and I definitely don't want that music in there. Okay. So, these low mud bricks, they might be kind of comfy in that area because you're going to have insulation, and you'll see this kind of stuff in like hot regions. Of course, who knows how people lived 100 years ago in these places, but All right, I don't want to play too much of the video. Hopefully I don't get a copyright. Wait, where did that 1999 come from? There! Finally not sleeping when you're on. Yay! Overprotected 1111. You know, thank you so much, first of all. Let me not forget to say that. Very much appreciated. Yeah, you know, that's the other thing I've really been getting a lot of, like the last month or so, is repeating numbers. So I'll look at the time, it's 555. I'll go to click on some, you know, to leave a comment. There'll be 2222 comments already there. Just stuff like that. So it's definitely been, I know this is old news for a lot of you, but for like years, everybody was saying they got repeated numbers. And I'm like, I never get that. And then all of a sudden, boosh. Now I'm getting it like in quadruple space. It's like ridiculous. So, cool, I guess. You know, it's just sort of kind of like, what does it mean? What does it mean? The beluga whale has a soft head. All right, let's check that out. All right, I think I caught up, right? Overprotected 111, 111. Okay, 1111. Overprotected 1111 says you're welcome. Well, thank you. All right, so let's check out the belugas. Whale's soft, squishy head. Oh, come on. All right, we got another. I'm going to kill the sound. I'll kill it here, and it shouldn't come on, right? Come on. It won't let me kill. I'm only killing sound, universe. It's not that violent. Is an organ that looks like a pocket filled with fat. Its function is to direct and or change the frequency of the whale's sound waves. Acts as a lens for better communication and echolocation. Cannot speak today. Echolocation is a biosonar. Echolocation or biosonar. Okay, so bio means life and then sonar. Biosonar. I have never heard of it called biosonar before. Is the ability to project sound. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to get more forms of biosonar, because it used to be echolocation was the only word, and there was only bats that actually did echolocation. Originally. And whales would make sound. When did they start saying that whales did echolocation? Originally that wasn't a thing. Like, they could make sound, but they could not originally bounce it and then process it in their mind and then know where stuff was. Of course, even humans can kind of do that now. When did that show up? It's been a while, actually. But I do remember way back, they said only bats could do it. Bats, that was their unique thing, was that they could do echolocation. Of course, they were blind back then also. Okay, so biosonar. Let me just check biosonar. This is how it happens. See, like I see one, and then I'm like, wait, this, and then. All right, where's the wiki? 10 animals that use echolocation. The harbor porpoise frequency biosonar signal. All right, now this is interesting. They're calling it biosonar or echolocation. Why have two words for the exact same thing? Biosonar has just shown up for me. So I'm thinking there's going to be a split. Right now, I do not see the split. There's not a separate wiki for biosonar versus echolocation, I don't think. Marine mammals and sonar. wiki. Let me just see if we can find wiki here. Animal echolocation. So all I see is animal echolocation. All right, so there's not a split yet, but I really suspect something's coming. Because then they add a new word in there, and that's to they get used to that word, and then they differentiate. They split it. Like I don't know, the universe, reality, our deep-seated imagination. I don't know what's doing it, but they. Echolocation, also called biosonar, is a biological sonar used by several animal species, bats, of course. Since the 1970s, there has been an ongoing controversy among researchers as to whether bats use a form of processing known from radar termed coherent cross-correlation. Whales. Okay, so whales now do it. Oil birds and swiftlets. That's a new one. Oil birds, whatever the heck those are, and some species of swiftlet are known to be use a relatively crude form of echolocation. These nocturnal birds emit calls while flying and use the calls to navigate through trees and caves where they live. Shrews, tenrecs, and rats. And the short-tailed shrew. There is evidence that blinded laboratory rats can use echolocation. Lab rats can use echolocation. That's the new one, huh? Yeah, I don't think so. All right, I'm putting that down. If I can read. Yeah, okay. Echolocation jamming or sonar jamming. Jamming occurs when non-target sounds interfere with target echoes. Echolocating animals have evolved to minimize jamming. However, echolocation avoidance behaviors are not always successful. Background noise can interfere. Avoidance by prey animals. Dropping, looping, and freezing when emitters send out ultrasound waves indicate that G. melonella can both detect and differentiate between ultrasonic frequencies used by predators or from other members of their species. Some moths have been observed using their large wings to deflect the ultrasonic signals of microbats. All right, I could probably click on that and see how micro gets to be, how tiny is micro. Okay, so let's back to the squishy brain. All right, so I guess they're going to say this area is all squishy. The melon contains oil and wax. That's why it looks so squishy. The belugas brain, however, is well protected and located inside their skull. Okay, so that looks like their brain, but their brain is actually way back here. And so you're just like squishing the snout zone then. We do not support captivity when it's only for entertainment purposes. Yeah. All right, let's check the video out. I think we have sound off. Okay, so yeah, that's not how I remember. I've never seen that before. I don't know what to say, but like, Does it look more like bulbous than even last time we looked at it? So I had them on like a while back that I don't remember being them that wide. I don't remember them being that flabby, but I don't remember anything about squishy heads. I mean, I'm sure I've never seen anything about squishy heads, even though I looked into it. Yeah, that's crazy town. So wouldn't they just have like, wouldn't that just be on all the time if they had a big squishy head? That's pretty strange. Okay, so yes, I definitely agree. That's bizarre. Squishy head belugas. Gosh. I'm just looking at my notes and it's just so crazy. It's like squishy head belugas, rab rats, whatever. There's been a lot of animal stuff showing up these last few weeks, hasn't there? Live chat. Okay, good point. Live chat. I was chosen for the animals, the mandanimals. Yep. Well, I like the other ones too, but lately I've just been finding a lot of mandanimals. YouTube is now blocking Philip Dick. I'm assuming you mean Philip K. Dick. Really? YouTube blocks like everything now. It's ridiculous. So, what's their beef with him? I mean, I don't know of anything. There's some kind of thing that was contra narrative and stuff. So I mean, he was an old sci-fi writer. I don't remember anything like any controversy about him or anything. Oh, maybe it's because he's got the name Dick. Um, I mean, it could just be that. It could just be their algorithms don't get it. Dark City. Yes, I love Dark City. Yeah. I want to, what will I say? I don't want to say I love Dark City. I think I can't stop thinking about the concepts behind Dark City. So it was kind of the movie before The Matrix. The Matrix is, in many ways, a much more high end copy of Dark City. Dark City was low budget, had very many interesting ideas in it. And I do have a lot of just kind of scenes that stick in my head from Dark City. On the flip side, being low budget, it had its limitations. It's worth watching though, because it has to do with memories and things changing mysteriously. And I think it's for Mandela people, it's definitely worth a watch. And it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't, grade A amazing land. But they're just, I don't know, there's just a lot of weird concepts in there that you just keep rolling over in your head. This is your brain on caviar. That's what happens to your brain if you watch too much mainstream TV. It should become squishy inside. And maybe a little bit too much social media. Philip K. Dick is an Emmy. For me, never heard of him or books before 2016. I only heard of him like maybe sometime during the pandemic, so 2020 or later. I can't swear it's a Mandela. It's possible. I just didn't know about him. But it is interesting, especially some of his old speeches. Now, I have had him on here, but that was shortly after I learned of it. So, Yeah, Dark City, we refer to it a lot. You'll what was that? Shell Beach. You'll know what I'm talking about. The famous Shell Beach scene, which I think got Mandela, didn't it? I think there was something different about the that part. It's still good though. All right, let's see. Shari's got some more stuff. Let me know if hopefully I this is the only one. If I missed one further up, let me know. Ah, Saudi breaks record for largest mirror building. It does look awesome. I don't know if it looks that awesome from every view, but it does look awesome from this view. Wait a minute, how did they get what's behind it? So if it's just a mirror, it should show what's in front of it, right? But it looks here like it's see-through. It's showing what's behind right here. So I don't get exactly how that works because this is the behind and then it fits almost seamlessly with there. So is it some kind of projection thingy? Okay, this is more like it here. I'm thinking maybe this is not so accurate or it's just a very lucky chance that what's in front lines up with right there. And all right, so here this is more like what I would expect. You know, it would look better if it wasn't right by these mountains because then this you would have it shot at this kind of blending a little, but these mountains kind of ruin the look. Let's see. Not that I'm complaining. I'm really curious about all these giant projects though. So like what are they going to do with this thing? Located in Wadi Ashar near the volcanic freeway, the Maraya Concert Hall is equipped with the latest theatrical and operatic sound systems. Okay, so it's just interesting because it really kind of looks like it's in the middle of the desert. I mean, are people going to get all on the road and all drive out here and go to this thing out in the middle of, I mean, maybe it just looks like it's out in the boonies, but there's a whole bunch of city right there. I don't know. It's kind of reminding me of China, though. They built all these giant buildings, and then China now, then they just went, oops, nobody moved in. We're going to destroy them all now. I mean, you just keep building and building and building buildings, and nobody's moving into the first batch of buildings. And I mean, how does that even work economically and from a business perspective? You just keep building and building. Like, if I was running a construction company or an investment firm and I built some buildings, I'd build one or two and nobody moved into them, then I'd be like, wait, we got to rethink this concept because people aren't using these. I wouldn't just build like 500 more of them. All right, not saying that Saudi's doing this, but Saudi and around there has got a lot of weird projects brewing with the line, you know, hoping that like thousands of families will move in like in a hive-like environment to live and it'd be more efficient and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, if you ever live with like 500 people all on top of each other, I don't know if I would want to do that, you know, and humans, do we really even get along that well? I mean, maybe in other cultures they'll be better at it, but you know, we have cities here and we can't even get along in the cities. If we squash them together tighter, I don't think that's gonna help people get along any. So I'm very curious to see how this all pans out with some of these big Saudi projects. All right, so that was, I'm kind of scrolling to see if I've missed any other links here. I don't think I have. The cube they are building in Saudi. I think I saw something about that. Let me just pull that one up. So we're not talking about the thing, that cube that they walk around currently 7 times. But there's supposedly, yeah, not this one, which originally for me was 3 times. You circled it 3 times. What is this? Did they build a, are they talking about building a little blockade thingy for this? This cube that was small for me and then just kept getting bigger, bigger, bigger was not in my timeline originally. Then it was like 1.5 stories tall, and then it was 3 stories tall. I mean, it's just, I don't even know how tall it is now. It looks like it's like 5 stories tall. This thing freaks me out because it just keeps growing, but, you know, so do a lot of things. So this year's Hodge will be very limited. Okay, why did they put this up? Are they trying to protect the cube from germs? The area around the Kaaba was closed and disinfected in March. Okay, oh, okay, so they put up a barrier in 2020 apparently. Okay, so this is a real image. Somehow it looked a little AI-y or something. Look at the height of the Kaaba. So that's a person. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like it's 6 stories high or more now. That thing, it just keeps growing. I mean, how big is it going to be in the end? Kaaba. Okay, so Kaaba. All right, so where's the cube thing they're building? Was it this? Project the cube. Why does it look like it's falling over? Or is it this? This is the one I saw. All right. Yes, yes, this is the one I saw because it was awesome looking. Although the other one's kind of freaking me out a little bit. This looks like ancient technology. It looks so awesome. I have to say that I like the aesthetics of a lot of the stuff that they're doing in Saudi. I like the aesthetics of the line. I'm very skeptical that humans could squish all in there and have a good time and want to live there and not want to kill their neighbor. But the aesthetics of it are nice, and the aesthetics of this cube are also pretty awesome. I mean, it looks like some kind of ancient tech, like that Doctor Who is got the entire universe in a cube, and then you do like that or something. I don't know, but it looks cool. New ambitious development project to build a giant cube-shaped super tall skyscraper in the country's capital, the Mukhab. So the interesting that it's very close to the Kaaba, the Mukhab. World's largest downtown in Riyadh by 2030. Mukhab, spanning 19 square kilometers, will be located in the intersection of King Salman and King Khalid roads. The Mukhab, which means cubic in Arabic, will be built by Saudi Arabia's new Murabba Development Company using Kingdom Public Investment Fund. I think, you know, for the line, if I remember correctly, the line was being built by like was it the king's own construction company? So basically they're taking public funds. I assume most of them come from oil production, and then using it to pay his own construction company to build it. So maybe they don't care if it doesn't succeed because the construction company owned by the king got paid by your money. But so you got to have to kind of wonder on some of these projects. Megacities project is the latest in the series of giga projects that include NEOM, Red Sea Global, Daria Gate, Qiddiya, Asir, and Amala. All right, so I would really like to see one of these get done and see how well it does. But then again, you know, I've seen stuff that failed in my old timeline, like the Venice Beach, LA, not Venice, but Venice Beach, LA canals, which were a failed project in my old timeline, are now we're now somewhat successful and there's a bunch of canals. So maybe in some timelines these fail and in other timelines they don't. Maybe in some timelines China didn't demolish so many of those new constructions and a bunch more of them succeeded. I'm really looking at the Kaaba. Look at how big the Kaaba is. It's so big. My gosh. It's so big. It just never stops getting larger. I wonder if the Kaaba is going to get as big as the Mukhab. See this stone part at the bottom, that used to be not even the height of a person. And now it looks like it's the height of 2 people, at least. Probably more. It's like 2.5 people tall. So it's got to be at least 15 feet. 30, 45. So it's like 70 feet. Yeah, it's so big. In 2020, nobody was allowed to go for Hajj. They had an app and you had to apply to have permission. Well, I assume they let some people then if you got permission. All right, I'll click on your thingy. Kill the sound.
First the line and the octagon, then the Dubai circle. Now a giant cube.
Right, hopefully this is an advertisement so I won't get a bunch of crap. Yeah, there we go. First the line and the octagon, then the Dubai circle. You guys are certainly busy. You know, let's see. No. I kind of wonder though, maybe like maybe that's what happened in China too. They just pocketed a bunch of the funding and stuff. So you could build all these things, start them all around the same time, and before any of them get done and you realize they're not going to work, well, they already got paid. So I'm a little worried about that. All right. You're on the surface of Mars. I don't know, you know, the world is a crazy place. Financial experts are already skeptical about the feasibility. Yeah, so am I, but who knows what can happen anymore. We could be reading about them being failures, and then in a year we could be reading about them being amazing successes. So I guess it might be fun to go to the timeline where they're successful eventually. Sweetheart has to go. Take care. Jogging is bad on your knees and ankles, actually. So, speaking of the devil, I know they always said that. There was tons of research saying that. But that was in the back in the days when cartilage could not heal and you'd wear it out. And that is not the current reality, because now cartilage can heal. And the latest is that no, jogging is not hard on your knees and ankles. And that's the last I checked, is there's no evidence that it is. And joggers have no more knee problems than everybody else. That's the latest. Not that I'm disagreeing with you that that was always the thing, but you know, it's so hard to keep up with this stuff. I just call this the old wives' tale edition, because it was like true before, but now it ain't edition. Okay, what's that going to be now? World's largest prayer wheel. So, okay, you spin it, Boy, I hope it's not too heavy on the inside because no one's going to move that sucker. That actually is kind of cool, though. So you got to spin this thing, do some work, you do some prayers. Oh, okay, it's spinning. All right, I'm going to... That's kind of awesome. So I'm assuming that they have like the world's best nice greased system under there so you can spin this beast. That's kind of cool. I mean, compared to the other projects, this would not be the ultimate bajillions of dollars. I kind of assume it's empty inside. Let's see. I mean, these people don't look like they're keeling over with the pushing, so... See, look at that. Where is all that? Where is that even at that it's all green like that? Is that their winter and that's why they have the green grass? I just don't usually see, you know, the desert regions are like green for a million miles. So I'm assuming that that is not irrigated out there. Have you heard of the band Taiketo? It's a huge Mandela Effect for me. Came right out of the blue. I know I'd have loved them, but never heard of them. Oh yeah, it's 420. I forgot about that. Well, that just started becoming a thing, what, about 5-6 years ago? Oh, it's in Vietnam, that spinning prayer wheel. Okay. So they don't have the bajillion dollars worth of oil money to spend. You know, it makes sense that Saudi's doing a lot of that stuff because that oil money. Whoosh. I think it was you said they only recently started having to pay income taxes because, oh, cool. I don't know about this bottom part's not totally my style, but I like the top part. I mean, everybody has their own styles that they like. Prayer wheel. I have to say I've never heard of a prayer wheel. I've never heard of like a thing that people push. This is actually the first time ever. All right. Weighs 200 tons. Wow. Well, it must have really good bearings for 20 people to be able to spin it. Made of pure copper inlaid with 24 karat gold. Wow. Nice. Prayer wheel. Nope. I don't. It's a new one on me. I hurt my knee because angels did fall. Then I reheard it on the sport pole class. Huh. Yeah, for me it was my elbows. So I kind of heard it playing pickleball because I didn't play for a while and then I just played really hard after several weeks off and then it kind of hurt. But I really didn't think much of it. It just seemed like, oh, it'll be fine in a few days. And then it got better, but then it got worse and it got better. And it was kind of weird because usually, I don't know, I'm just getting old and stuff doesn't heal, but I just felt like it should heal. Now, part of it might be my fault because, like, I'd lift stuff and it would kind of hurt. I'd be like, and I would kind of ignore it. So maybe I just didn't rest it right. But, I mean, I've always been like that and it wasn't a big deal before. So then I started really coddling it and really not lifting stuff with it. And I was drinking a lot of, like, collagen and it seems like it's finally on the mend now, but I don't know. It's like, what's wrong? Why? And then it was weird because then this elbow was kind of hurting, and I'm like, I haven't done anything. I'm not even lifting. I'm like making 10 trips with like, so I'm not carrying heavy stuff and everything. And so it's like, are you serious? So I don't know if there's something shifty going on with elbows and that's part of the problem or what, but Dancing Souls art installation. All right, we still have sound off. Oh, yes, yes, yes. You had this on before. Was that you? Yes, I think that was you. Wait, somebody emailed me about this. Was that you? Now I'm confused. I know I was. So basically this thing, they just have like air blows and it makes a vortex and then they throw some like scarves in there and they fly around. I'm really suspicious that in the old days you probably couldn't do this, but we've seen that vortexes are just a lot more cohesive and powerful. I mean, we're getting tornadoes in California, and the number of tornadoes and hurricanes, I do not recall them being able to go, like, they didn't have tornadoes and hurricanes up in Canada before. They certainly didn't have hurricanes up there because it was a warm water phenomena. So it just seems like they're easier to be created and stay together. So basically, the vortex, I guess, keeps sucking these things back into the middle, and that's this art concept. So this one artist does these. When I was watching the film, though, it does look like they kind of cut the clips at spots, and I don't know, was it like was it just boring in that piece and then they didn't, so they cut out the boring piece, or did the fabrics fall out of the circle? What's the deal? I don't know. Daniel Wurtzel, yes, that is the guy. Ah, sorry, it was you. Okay. Just woke up. It's 4:12. Happens every night. Yeah. I do tend to wake up about either 3 a.m., but then I started going to bed really close to that. So then it was like 5 hours after I went to bed, and then it's kind of squeezed down to like 3 hours after I went to bed sometimes. It was raining MEs. I don't know, it was kind of quiet for me, except for the animals. Did I do this one already? The Astrawani Burrito Mall. Oh, yes, we did Prayer Wheel already. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, so let's see. What other ones did I have? All right, this one is definitely new for me. All right, wait, I'll type it in like that. Let's type it in on here. Baudet de Plateau. So we had donkeys on. I almost had this one as the thumbnail. It was really torn between the one I used and this one. Baudet de Plateau. Okay, so this thing is a donkey. Looks like, I don't know, it doesn't look real even. So apparently they now have donkeys with that hair that's kind of like a poodle, that it makes the dreadlocks. And they have certain dog breeds that kind of showed up that have like the dreadlock hair. Well, these they're French donkey. Baudet de Plateau, I believe is called. I kind of wondering if they maybe brushed this one or maintained it better. This is another example that I don't know, that doesn't really look pleasant to me, to have the hair like all knotted, and then when you move it's pulling because it's, you know, that's just a big tangle. I'm sorry, that's just a big tangle. It does not look like it's good for the animal. I guess the story could be that we had like kind of a sport donkey and we bred them, but I mean, like, why do you want your donkey to look like it's matted to death? I mean, if you maintain them like this, and I don't know exactly what it all involves, they're not too miserable looking. this one looks like they're doing some trimming on it here or something. I don't know. Maybe it just genetically didn't have all of the area that was so long. I mean, really? I mean, look at that. Look at those knots. That just, I mean, that can't be comfortable for the animal. When a cat gets like that, they're miserable. And then you shave them, they're so happy. So, I don't know. All right, so America has one. We had the donkeys on with the cross. And of course, the universe offers up like 1 million donkeys now. I don't know if it's because I typed it into a search engine or what, but so America has one too. American. So these donkeys are supposed to be like the biggest donkeys too. So they're like better for riding and carrying. It looks like the donkeys are getting to be as big as the horses. So one of the stories is that they bred the donkeys to be really big so that when they bred them with horses, the mule would also be big. All right, so have you ever seen like a donkey with these silly long legs here? I mean, seriously, it's looking like a horse now. Come on. Come on. Look at how long the ears are, too. I mean, they have long ears, but come on, people. So that's American Mammoth Jackstock Donkey, which is supposedly rivals the Baudet de Poitou version. The colorations again on these donkeys are getting pretty cray-cray. So here's a really large of these mammoth jackstalks that's piebald. I mean, come on, people. So they're just like goofy horses with long ears now is what we're getting out of these things. I mean, look at the legs on that thing. Seriously, it's as big as medium-sized horses. Of course, the horses, and look at the ears. I mean, they were big, but these are looking like rabbit ears. And fuzzy. So donkeys are getting to be like horses, but then horses have like the small versions. See if we can find one next to here. Here's a human. Open in a new tab. Huge donkey arrives at sanctuary. All right, see, look. Now, that is as big as like a quarter horse, really. I mean, let's see. If you had the stirrup on there, yeah. I mean, like, that looks like a quarter horse size. Like a smallish size horse. Quarter horses aren't that small. I think this here would be like more of a normal donkey. Mammoth jackstock, yes. There's another one. So even in the old days, they had these. So it's not like a new creation. This is pretty old photo here. So yes, I don't know. There's like so many weird varieties now. World's tallest living donkey. So that's like a big horse. You know, it's interesting because I don't see images of people riding these things. You can ride a donkey, right? The other thing I saw is that the videos I've seen of these donkeys, they just seem a lot more friendly than I remember. They're like dogs now. They're just so, they love their head scrubbed and they're so cuddly. And they said not everyone is that friendly, but like the majority of them are like sticking their head and scratchy and like, I just don't. I remember him more like "fu" kind of a creature. Okay, so see now, look at that woman. This is cray cray. Definitely a little dorkier looking than a horse, but that is not right. That she's way the hell up there. I mean, like she probably had to stand on a block to get onto this donkey. I'm trying to think if you could reach. Could you reach your foot up from this stirrup when the stirrup looks as high, higher than her waist? It'd be up here. Just getting onto this thing, I think you have to stand on something. All right, so we do have images of them riding the donkeys. Is the mammoth jack donkey the right animal? Just craziness. All right, so Garrett, mammoth, jackstock riding donkeys. Spend a day riding each and every one of our outstanding group of mammoth saddle donkeys. All right, so they're not just gray anymore. There's a nice white one, there's a brown one. I think I could swallow this color, but not these other colors. 54.5 inches. I guess they don't go by hands tall like they do with horses. Rusty. Look, piebald. They don't have piebald donkeys. BB. Wow, look at the dark colors on that one. I guess you can't see this side. I'm sorry, I just realized. You could probably see it as I scroll up, but... All right, so Shari's got golden pheasant on the chopping block here, pardon the pun. Oh, very pretty. There are so many pheasants now. It's just crazy. Gosh, that's beautiful. The colors. Hopefully some of these will get like really popular. I mean, like populated soon so I can get the feathers. Birds of the world. There are so now they're like, oh well, pheasants, there's just a million beautiful ones. There wasn't a million beautiful ones before. But I'm even seeing it on the small scale locally with just almost every bird around here used to just be kind of brown or gray. We're not in an area with a lot of beautiful birds, but now you see them coming in. This one's got bright red stomach. This one has bright yellow stomach. More and more stuff that used to be black will have white feathers in weird places. You think some are AI generated? No, I looked up the wiki and stuff. according to the official narrative, these go way back, and they're an old stock of like historical donkeys that were huge. Like I said, the story now is that they were bred long ago to be crossbred with horses for large mules. So I really should look up why mules are supposed to be better than just riding on the donkey, but I guess you could like upgrade the size even further with a large horse. But now you've got these donkeys that are as big as a horse. So the donkeys are a little tougher than horses. So that's, I guess, why they would crossbreed them. They can eat more spongy food without getting sick, and they don't need as much coddling. Is the story I recall anyway. Assuming that's still the case. Has anybody heard of the 2016 bombing in Brussels? This is new for me, but my husband heard of it. 2016 bombing in Brussels. Terrorist attacks in Brussels, Belgium were carried out by Islamic State. Bombers detonated bombs at Brussels airport in Zaventem, and one detonated a bomb on a train leaving Malbeek metro station in central Brussels. Now, I don't think so. There was a lot of bombings around then, so this is not one I can swear on. But I'm really good at remembering words, especially like weird words. And I won't always remember exactly where I know it from, but I'll remember like I've heard that word before, and I'll have a vague recollection, some place in Europe or something, and I don't remember even ever hearing of these places, Zaventem or Malbeek. So I'm very suspicious those have ever been in the news. Of course, maybe the event was in the news and they didn't use these words. It's not impossible, but I don't know. A third airport attacker fled the scene, which was later found in search of the airport. Perpetrators belonged to the terrorist cell that had been involved in the November 15 Paris attacks. Belgian government declared 3 days of national mourning, which were the deadliest attacks on Belgium since World War II. In December 2022, 10 men accused of involvement in attacks went on trial in Brussels. No, I don't particularly remember it. Again, I might be a little weak on it since I don't live in Europe. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so I almost did the donkeys on the thumbnail, but instead I did these. I think I chose this, even though I've covered this before, I wanted it on the thumbnail. I think it's just because it's happening locally, so it just kind of strikes me a little harder. So I was driving the truck a couple days ago, and they're like, strange blue blobs washing up on the seashore in San Diego. And of course I'm like, what? So I go home, look it up, and it's these things. Now I've had them on before, I'm pretty sure. And the story now is that mass hordes are washing up. Now before, when I've had them on, they would just say, well, nobody really knows why sometimes they wash up. Now I do not recall these things, and this one is the same size, so it's not helping you any. These things existing, not to mention washing up in mass hordes in San Diego. So now if you look up the news, like these things washed up in mass hordes all over the effing place, all over like the world, basically. And we're talking lots. So this is a lot of guys on the beach here. It looks like little blue shells, but it's all these, they're called by the wind sailors. And they're little jellies. I'll just scroll up to here. And they float, and they've got like this clear sail that sticks up. Now, before, they didn't really have a lot of info, but this time when I looked up about these, they said that the sails there were two kinds of these that basically seem like the same species, but in the northern hemisphere, the sail was angled a certain way, and in the southern hemisphere, it wasn't northern, I think it was Pacific Ocean versus Atlantic, okay? And then on the other side, the sail was oriented a slightly different way, and the story is that the sails are oriented so that the prevailing winds of the area, when hitting this sail, will keep pushing the jellies out to sea. So as long as the winds operate normally, these jellies stay out to sea. Now before they just said it had a sail, and they move around with it. But now they have this whole orientation story, and the ones in this hemisphere are different than that or something. And so they're saying if the winds shift and come from an abnormal direction, this can push these suckers by the mass hordes up onto the beaches. So that apparently is what is happening currently in San Diego. At least it was a couple days ago. This looks like them from the bottom. So they do have like some little jelly fingers and stuff on the bottom that dangle down. Let me see if I can. All right, that was news, right? I just did news, web's image here. Now, what's interesting is that they said that there was a huge beaching of these in 2014, and there sure as hell was not a huge beaching of these in 2014 because I don't think they existed in 2014. Now let me see if this is the current. Yes, this is the more recent one. Velellas, or by the wind sailors spotted on San Diego beaches, thousands from LA to San Diego. Bluish purple creatures known as velella, or by the wind sailors, have been spotted for the first time in years. Amazing scientists and beachgoers. Yeah, I imagine they would, since they are new. They're kind of what I would consider an ephemeral species. Yeah, they just came out of the ethers. I do think I had them on like a year ago, but it wasn't as extensive as all this. They have a sort of tentacle that allows them to passively feed on whatever is beneath them as they float with the tide and wind. What I don't get is like how much food do you find way there on the surface, but not on right on the top, but your tentacles are just below. I mean, usually things feed on the bottom or something. She said it's likely that this year's particularly wet winter created ideal conditions for major migration. Beachgoers are seeing. We've had the perfect amount of wind and storms and food in the water for these velellas to be washing up. Okay, there's all the beaches. So there's tons of them. This is Coronado, which is not that far from here. Of course, the beach gets all stinky and stuff. It's best to stay away and admire the creatures from afar, as to not injure or disturb them. They do have stinging cells, however, they're not considered dangerous by humans, to humans by scientists. I see people holding them and stuff, so as not to injure them. So what, if the water comes back, then it'll wash them back out or something? Anyway, so there's those, and one of the reasons I was watching is because they're saying that there's been red tide bioluminescent waves spotted north of here. And it seems like what the cycle has been doing is that they start north and then they travel here. So I'm hoping to try to catch some of the bioluminescent waves this year here. Long ago, I did catch them. That was quite some time ago. Supposedly the first time ever. Back then, it was the first time ever that we had bioluminescent waves, and it was incredibly rare and amazing, and I thought I'd never see it again. But in this timeline, it happens every year, like 2 or 3 times. So the chances of me catching it are pretty good, since it's always happened now. Should be an Emmy, because without ending my sentence, my husband said, I remember the Brussels airport attack. He gets updates nonstop. Yeah. Dave is like that too. You know, I was asking him about the Valella. Oh, you know what I was asking him about? I was asking him about the Gouldian finches. Okay. He used to breed Gouldian finches. They're a very bright bird. And I don't remember chicks with millions of like bright spots all over their mouth. So when they open their mouth, I've had this on before. I'll show you now is why not. They're so bizarre. I think they're even weirder than before. And I don't remember them being all weird. And I saw it today, how they looked, and I'm like, Dave used to breed these chicks. So this is a Gouldian finch chick. All right. So last I checked, they had spots like up inside their mouth, but now it looks like they have these bumps that stick out on the side of their mouth. So it's like upgraded. And so then when they're moving their mouth, it just looks really creepy, frankly. So this is a kind of an upgrade since last time I looked. So I asked him about the chicks. I go, well, what do Gouldian finch chicks look like? Are they colorful or are they just blah? And he goes, oh yeah, they're just blah, normal. You know, they're just gray. And then in my mind, right then I'm like, ha, got him. So then I go, so okay, so they're just boring gray. Like after he had kind of just said that, then he goes, right when I'm thinking, ha. Then he goes, oh yeah, and they have all these spots on their mouth. And I don't know why. I mean, it certainly could be that he suddenly just remembered, but I really just felt like he got the download, like, don't forget the spots. And because in all the million times that he has talked about breeding Gouldian finches, he never once mentioned these spots. And I don't think they were there, you know, more than 5 years ago. And like I said, the spots when they first showed up, they were more like just colors. They weren't like, it looks like cancerous tumors on the side of the mouth now. So I really feel like, you know, he remembered the old way and then he got the download. You know, it's like, oh yeah, and the spots. Ah, yes, it's the spots. I mean, maybe I just see Mandela everywhere. I admit it could be, but it just strange sometimes. Pacific is too cold for sharks. In my timeline, there were no sharks. That's interesting. I don't recall any major oceans not having sharks for me. You should check out a video of the Gouldian finches with the mouths moving. It's kind of mesmerizing. So yeah, they're a beautiful bird, the males, and that's why people raise them. So there's the males. Now they're not that big a deal compared to a lot of the newer birds, but back then these were some of the brightest birds in town, so they were considered pretty amazing. Now it's like, okay, there's another bright bird amongst many. See the coloration there. I think this is a female. So they were, you know, the aficionados would breed for the most interesting color combos on the head and the sharpest colors. And Dave is kind of a nerd boy. He's very good at like understanding genetics. And so he figured out some of the genetics that some of the other peoples didn't really understand. He had some pretty good successes breeding some very unusual colors. But, you know, eventually the market kind of got saturated and then he wasn't making as much. And he got bored, as he does. He gets bored. So, yeah, those are the Gouldians. I mean, seriously, people. That one has even more spots than the other one. Okay, so there was those. By the Wind Sailors. Okay, I think I've had these on too. I'm not 100%, but wait. think I've had these where there's like, it's a fungus that just looks like an ear. And so in some cases, it just looks like there's a tree with an ear, which is, I feel like this is more of one of those surreal realities where you have a tree and suddenly it just has an ear. Like, come on, you know? If you kind of imagine like 20 years ago, if somebody said, yeah, the trees are going to grow ears, and you're like, shut up. That is not going to happen. You know, that's crazy town. Quit smoking your drugs. Don't be stupid. Yet here we go. The trees have indeed grown ears. They're even flesh colored, okay? I mean, maybe a little brown, but once the sun shines through, they're really close to human skin colored. And I wonder if they'll get more ear-shaped with time. So now a lot of them don't look so ear-shaped and some do. Also, apparently these are edible. Seems like a lot more mushrooms are edible in this timeline. So they're pretty distinctive looking. So that might help you not get confused with poisonous ones. Some of these really look like ears. So this is wood ear fungus. Supposedly well-known, famous edible mushroom. So it is convenient if we get a lot of mushrooms that are really distinctive so that you know that it's safe to eat it. Seems like these are pretty widespread too. All right, let me see what you guys are up to. Okay, what bit you that felt like dull razor blades? Are you talking about those by the wind by the wind sailors? Is that what you're talking about? I remember Pennsylvania having a coastline and New Jersey was smaller. I do feel like the East Coast has changed a lot. I remember New York having a lot of coastline, and now it's just, I've had it on before. I think it's even crazier now, the outline of New York. So it's like it's trying to give it, it's like it's trying to give it a little bit of coastline, but the majority of it is getting shoved inland. All right, so this is the basic shape now. Let's see if we can get this open. This is the part that is on the coast, and this is all like inland. And I think it's even stranger than last time I did this. Okay, here, this really shows it. All right, so there's the Atlantic. So I swear this is even more insane. Last time it was more like this and down. Now it's like squished off. New Jersey has pinched it off and Connecticut is pinching it. But you know that there's famous parts of New York on the coast, so that is like pinched off, but it's still there and floating out more than ever. It's like an island now or something almost, with it like just a ridiculous peninsula bit, and then the rest is all out here. I don't know what to say about the stuff. It right. I think Maine used to be a lot smaller too than it, at least compared to the other states. I do think maybe the other states are the ones that shrank, but see if I can find. That's not very clear, is it? That's not going to be any better. Maybe this one. No. This one. No. Come on, we need more detail. Maybe this one. This is pretty good. See, I remember Maine being kind of smaller and these a little bigger. There's crazy New York. Actually, look at that. It really looks like it's not attached anymore. Is this part of New York even attached to the mainland anymore? Maybe it's not. You know, didn't we hear about a new bridge showing up in New York, New York? So maybe that's why, because it's broke off over there. So I don't remember all of this over here. So there's New York. I just realized I might have had it too low. There's New York. This waterway just keeps pinching in over here and here. And I think it's warping a lot in there. Don't remember West Virginia having this big arm over here. And that may have to do this because this river might be coming in over here. I suspect we're going to see more out of this. It looks like it's going to hook up over here or something. These two have, lakes have gotten a lot bigger. This thing is forming over here. If you look at the geology now, there's a lot of pockmarks and stuff around here, and it kind of looks like we're going to have a storyline like a big meteor hit here and pushed out this area somehow. There's a whole bunch of evidence for it, so we might get that storyline growing. Right here, Louisiana, I don't remember the Gulf of Mexico pinching in like this. I kind of feel like the whole area over here is turning into like Swiss cheese. The river coming in here, that I've had that on before, but that's changed a lot. River coming in here, slowly making its way into Washington. This used to be straight across here. There was no waterways and the top of Washington before for me. So again, we just have this like encroachment of the ocean and various waterways ongoing. So you remember Pennsylvania having a coastline. Let's see. Oh, it's close. I could see why, you know, it looks like it's, I am not sure on that one, but it does look like it was so close at some point. Why is Maine so pushed up in Canada? Yeah, I've said for a while now, you know, the U.S. used to go straight. It used to be straight across. It didn't used to sag all down like this. And then it's made like Maine just stick up like it looks like a chicken leg or something. And it didn't used to stick up way past. But I think this whole area is just kind of flopping down under the weight of Canada or something. So yeah, that makes Maine look weird. I just don't remember Maine being like quite that big either. But I suspect maybe these others have just shrunk some. There's definitely been a lot of weird pinching and shrinking on the East Coast though. Let's look at Cali. Cali used to come down more this way. Now it's way pinched in. Look at all the islands we're getting up here. There's a lot of waterway encroachment in my area in San Diego too. I've had that on before. I live near Virginia Beach, and it shifted from mid-coast to the southeast corner. Yep. Texas has a broken spoke. Let's see. I'm not sure what a broken spoke is. I don't remember what this little island thingy did. I don't remember there being a giant island off of Texas. And if it showed up, don't be surprised if it gets bigger. Doesn't show Cuba, but we know it's huge. All right, so you guys are doing jokes. Close up some of these. All right, and is that it? Wood, ear, fungus. Oh, yeah. One more thing. Ooh, I just have a few more minutes. With the help of you alls. You know, this would have been a very short show if someone had not fed me with so many other Mandelas to talk about. So I have it saved. It's I've had this on before. I only know how to get to my saved stuff with old Reddit. Let's see. Save. All right, boiled eggs times. Okay. This is interesting because somebody brought this up on Reddit, on Retcon, because they don't remember the hard-boiled egg time. So I've had this on before, but I just thought it was really neat that this is the current egg timer. And all these people were talking, and they're like, I remember it being 5 minutes. I was only 7 minutes. So basically somebody came on and said, really, it takes like at least 13 minutes to hard-boil an egg. And I remember 3 minutes, and you had a hard-boiled egg. And that, like I've said before, there was the 3-minute egg timer that was sold specifically for eggs. If people didn't do any cooking other than hard-boiled eggs, it was like considered the easiest thing in the universe. You could buy this 3-minute timer, didn't even have to think or remember how many minutes. You just put the timer on max and start the boil water, throw in the egg, and 3 minutes, boom chaka, it's done. And my dad used this because my dad could hardly cook anything. So if my mom was away, it was eggs, hot dogs, or bagels and lox. That was it. I'm pretty sure there were no others. And he just couldn't cook beyond those 3 things, which were completely regimented. I mean, hot dogs are already cooked, right? So you just have to heat them. Bagels and lox do not require any cooking, and he could cook eggs, and he had the special 3-minute timer. So that's why I'm so sure, because in our house, we only ever ate hard-boiled eggs. Nobody liked the slimy ones. We all thought it was disgusting. I'm sure maybe because I grew up with 2 people who thought they were disgusting. All my life, I've only eaten hard-boiled eggs. So there's no way I'm confusing the minutes with any other kind of egg. So it was just interesting that you have all these different people going, no way, I thought it was this. No way, I thought it was that. Blah, 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 blah. That was from 3 days ago on Recon. I remember getting hard-boiled eggs with much lower times. I used to boil just perfect eggs in 5 minutes, but now they're way too raw for me. Now it seems like I need to boil them for 11 minutes. This one has been bugging me for a couple years, and I even stopped boiling eggs. There have been other time-related Emmys, so how do you think this relates to those? Yeah, so this has been on before, but I think it might have been me that actually said it last time. But it's just interesting because people keep coming on, and I'm pretty sure they're not copying some old Mandela that I talked about, because the way they say it, it really sounds like they're not even sure it's a Mandela. This person says, I've always done 11 to 12 minutes. 5 minutes for a soft egg, 79 minutes for a hard-boiled egg. Is that what this says? No, because 9 minutes, that's not hard-boiled. This is 13 minutes. So this, I kind of wonder, does this tell me how far away from my timeline you are? That if you remember a 3-minute egg, you're way back by me. It always takes me 15 minutes to boil them now. It's way longer than before. Then people are like, what about altitude? And then people are like, look, my house has not changed altitude to my knowledge, so no, it should not have changed. Personally, the one shown here as being 3 minutes. If the yolk ain't liquid, I don't want it. I cook my own, blah, blah. Okay, this was messing with me a week ago. I raised the egg to a roiling boil, turned the burner off and let them sit for 7-8 minutes to get perfect hard-boiled eggs. Cooked them that long, dunk in ice bath. Solid results. I've done it for 20 years like this. Last week I did everything normally and the inside of the eggs were not done. After checking 2 of them, I boiled them for 10 more minutes and it was fine. But why? Yeah, and a boil is a boil, right? It shouldn't, once they're roiling, that's about as hot as it's going to get. But I have very much also noticed it just does not seem to me, either my body is more tolerant of heat or heat is like wimpier or something. Because I really remember that, you'd get the steak out of the oven and I've always had them medium rare, so this hasn't changed. To stick it on 375. I do feel like the cooking times have gotten a little longer on steaks than they used to be. Yank them out. They'd be hot. If you tried to eat that steak right away, you would burn the F out of your mouth. You had to show some patience. You had to wait. Nowadays, you get it out of there. As soon as I get the knife and fork, I take a slice, slap it in my mouth, no problem. By like 1 minute later, there's no more steam, nothing. Something is just off. This is odd because I've noticed this. I remember on TV when I was growing up, people would tell the waitress, boil my egg for 2 minutes. And the egg would come out cooked but nicely runny. My eggs were about 3 minutes, but now I'm boiling for 6.5 minutes and they still come out looking like number 2 on that picture, i.e. runny. Nothing has changed in the way I boil my eggs except how long I have to boil them. Yes. Weird you mentioned this. I was thinking about this yesterday. I clearly remember my entire childhood. It was 4 minutes. Perfect boiled. Hard but slightly soft. So this person sounds like it's really, if they want my style eggs, it would be 5 or 6 minutes. So hard but slightly soft. They are runny. They are runny, not done after 4 minutes. I watched a YouTube show and more French chefs said 10 minutes for perfect eggs. It was never that long. All right, so you get the drift. A whole bunch of people going, what the F? And nobody remembers it being shorter. That's the other thing. Nobody says, I remember it. It's, like, I remember it being 30 minutes and now it's only 15 minutes. Nobody says that. So we're all misremembering in the same direction, which I also find really interesting. When I was little, it was 3 to 5. So, I'm decent at cooking, and even as a kid, I really remember the exact thing because my dad sucked so bad that we almost kind of had to keep an eye on things. And it was really regimented. Boil water, roiling boil, plop them in at 3 minutes. Right at the bell, you yank them out. You take out the eggs. We had one of them tongs that had kind of circles on each end so you could just grab the eggs. Put them on the side. Right at 3 minutes, hard-boiled egg. There's no doubt in my mind that that's how it was. You can't even find that there was ever a thing called a 3-minute egg timer because it doesn't make sense in this time. People liked hard-boiled and 3 minutes is not long enough. Yes, so happy 420, people. I do have to run. Looks like I'm almost out of time. Well, it worked out perfectly, so thank you so much, Shari, for all the Mandelas. Very much appreciate it. Kept us busy all 2 hours almost on Shari Mandelas. So, you know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva, signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.